The topic that we would be covering today is efficiency. What is efficiency in economics? It refers to an economic state where every resource is optimally allocated, there is no wastage of resources, and no resource is sitting idle. When an economy is economically efficient, any changes made to assist one entity would harm the other entity. The basic concept of economic efficiency stems from the fundamental economic problems, and efficiency is said to exist when all the scarce resources are being used in the best possible way. Before we dive into allocative efficiency, let's have a look at the market that we have drawn here. This is a perfectly competitive market where forces of demand and supply determine the price. Now, allocative efficiency occurs at P star and Q star. But before that, we need to understand that the supply curve is more than just supply. Supply curve is marginal private cost is equals to marginal social cost. That is the reason why the y-axis is benefit plus cost and price as well. So let's look at the first concept, which is the private cost. As you can see, I have written supply is equals to marginal private cost. But before that, we need to look at what is private cost itself. Private cost is the cost of production to the producer, and marginal private cost is the cost of producing an additional unit. Social cost is the sum of private cost and external cost. External cost is the cost that the third party has to bear. Third party is somebody who is not involved directly in production of the good. If external cost is present, then social cost is greater than private cost. We assume that in a perfectly competitive market, there is no external cost as externalities do not exist and resources are allocated efficiently. That is why supply is equals to marginal private cost is equals to marginal social cost. Now let's talk about private benefits. Private benefits are benefit to the individual consumer that they derive out of consuming a good. Marginal private benefit means the additional benefit that the consumer derives out of consuming an additional or one more unit of a good. Social benefit, on the other hand, is the sum of private benefit and external benefit. External benefit is the benefit that the third party derives when a good is consumed. These benefits arise in presence of an externality. We are assuming that this is a perfectly competitive market and there are no externalities present. That is why social benefit is equals to private benefit. In presence of an externality and external benefit, social benefit would have been greater than private benefit. So, as there is no existence of external benefit or an externality, demand is equals to marginal private benefit is equals to marginal social benefit. For allocative efficiency to occur, there are three conditions that need to be met. One is maximization of society surplus, which means that the sum of consumer surplus and producer surplus should be maximum. This occurs when demand is equal to supply. The consumer is willing to pay this price here at point X, which is above the equilibrium price P. Therefore, this is consumer surplus. If we look at this diagram, we can see that the producer is ready to charge a price, let's say P1, which is below the equilibrium price P star. That is why the triangle below the equilibrium price is producer surplus. The bigger triangle OEX is the biggest possible triangle, which is the sum of consumer surplus and producer surplus. This equilibrium price is where the total surplus in the society, which is the sum of consumer surplus and producer surplus, can be maximized. This is the biggest possible area of the triangle that we can obtain, which will occur only at the equilibrium price. If we move the quantity beyond Q or below Q, there will be some welfare loss. So at point E, where price is P and quantity is Q, which is the equilibrium quantity, allocative efficiency is achieved as condition number 1, maximization of society surplus is attained. This occurs where demand is equals to supply. Now moving to second condition, maximization of net social benefit, where marginal social benefit is equals to marginal social costs. In a perfect market condition, we have only two economic agents, the producers and the consumers. When benefit to both is maximized, the society and the economy overall is better off. Let's have a look at the second condition or the scenario where marginal benefit to the society is equals to marginal cost. For example, equilibrium price in this scenario is 11 and equilibrium quantity is 70. If we reduce the quantity from equilibrium quantity, which is 70, and bring it to 40, the marginal cost is 6, whereas the marginal benefit or the price that the consumer is willing to pay is 15. It means that here there is underproduction and underconsumption, and the society is losing out on potential benefits that can be reaped if the quantity produced is increased. If they move towards right to equilibrium quantity, they will reach a point where marginal social benefit is equals to marginal social cost, or private benefits and total benefits are equal to private costs and total cost, which can only be at this point where both the curves intersect. So allocative efficiency can be attained only at this point where there is no underproduction or underconsumption. Also, while quantity moves towards right, the price also comes down. When the price comes down, more people will be able to enjoy the benefits. Let's look at the second scenario and diagram on the right. If quantity is increased beyond the equilibrium quantity to 110, consumer is willing only to pay $7, whereas the marginal cost is 17. It means that there is overproduction and it's not worth producing it. Consumers are ready to pay less amount, but the cost is high. It means that the society is not benefiting from it. So in order to attain socially optimum output, the output needs to be pushed back towards 70 or towards equilibrium quantity, where the price will also come down and more people will be able to enjoy the benefits. By doing that, by not underproducing or overproducing, but producing just the right amount, which will always be at equilibrium point, marginal social benefit can be maximized and marginal social cost will be equal to marginal social benefit. We will be able to achieve the second condition where marginal social benefit is equals to marginal cost. Also, by staying at equilibrium point, resources will perfectly follow demand and demand will be equal to supply. If all these conditions are met, the condition of price is equals to marginal cost will also be satisfied, which is the prime condition for allocative efficiency. Obviously, when this is equals to demand, demand is the price, and here we have marginal cost. So demand is price is equals to marginal cost will be at the point where both the curves intersect each other. It can only be achieved at the equilibrium price P star and the equilibrium quantity Q star. We observe that if quantity is taken beyond Q star towards right, then marginal cost will increase, whereas if quantities are pushed below Q star towards left, marginal benefit will increase and the economy will be missing out on potential benefits of producing more. If under certain assumptions that there are many buyers and many sellers, there is perfect information available to both parties. There are low barriers to entry and anybody can enter the market. Firms work to maximize profit and consumers work to maximize utility. If all these assumptions are there, under all these assumptions, when all these three conditions are met, allocative efficiency can be achieved. But even if one of the conditions of allocative efficiency is breached, then you cannot attain allocative efficiency. It is necessary that all three conditions are met.